beautiful people, welcome back or welcome to my channel. For this week's video, I'm going to be trying to narrow down my 24 books that I picked in January that I wanted to read before the year ended. We are now halfway through the year and I feel like I'm falling behind, I'm slacking a little bit. So let's just get into how well I've been doing on this so far. Right now, I am 37% into my 24 books that I want to read in 2024, and I've read 9 out of the 24 books as this video is starting. So earlier this year, I picked 24 books like a lot of other creators did that I wanted to read before the year ended. If you want to see the full video of me talking about each of the books, and some of the books won't be in this video, then go check out the full 24 and 24 video I posted back in January. And for this video, I'm not going to be focusing on, I have a couple series slash duologies I put in this, which are Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves, the trilogy for Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I really want to read the Addicted series, which technically I only counted the first book in the Addicted series for the 24 books, but for the other ones I did count all 3 of the Once Upon a Broken Heart and both Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves. But for this video, I am not going to be focusing on those ones. We're halfway through the year, so I feel like I should have at least gotten halfway through this, and I have started one of the series. I started the Dance of Thieves duology. I've already read Dance of Thieves. I still need to read Vow of Thieves, which I will hopefully get to soon, but probably not in this video. So without counting the books that are in series or books that I've already read for my 24 and 24, that leaves us with 8 books to choose for this week, which is plenty. I'll probably only get 2, 3, 4 maybe. I have been reading pretty fast recently, so hopefully we can get to at least 4 books in this video. I would love to narrow this list down because it has been looming over my shoulder the entire year. I myself am quite a mood reader. It is hard for me to pre-pick a TBR unless they are books that I am dying to read. But for YouTube and just to keep my reading life a little bit more structured, I have been trying to pick TBRs, but again, I am a big mood reader and it depends on the season, the weather outside, just how I'm feeling that day. So a lot of the time, these books just aren't really pulling to me. There is quite a few general fiction. We have, I think at least 2 memoirs left to read, and those, I love those books, but they aren't always. I'm looking at the books sitting next to me, by the way. If you see me looking down, I'm not, that's what I'm looking at. And I put them on this list for a reason. Well, there were a couple reasons. Some of the books I wasn't as excited for, but I still want to get them off of my physical TBR. And some of these books I've had for a really long time and I just needed to push myself to read them. But for a lot of them, I am really excited for them. So the first book we're going to be tackling in this video is The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. This is actually a book I've had on my shelf for probably over a year now. I thrifted this book off of Pango and then I just let it sit on my shelf. I was super excited because the premise of this book reminded me of an Ali Hazelwood book, and we all know that I'm a little too obsessed with STEM romances, and so this is going to be the first one we're reading because it's summer, it's July, we're getting into the romance season, you know, so we're just going to get right on to reading our first book. Okay, wow, we've seen me read the book. Okay, I hate to be that person, but I've already read it. I actually finished this book this morning. I tend to pick up books for videos and read them before I start filming the video. I need to get better at that because it makes all the clips be in the wrong chronological order in my photo album on my phone, so I need to get better at filming in a proper order, I feel like. But I've already read this book and I think I'm gonna give it a 4.5 star. I've never read a Christina Lauren book before, but this one actually pleasantly surprised me. I thought it was very cute and it was very reminiscent of Ali Hazelwood's like Love Hypothesis, Love on the Brain, some of her older works, I guess. Not really that old, they're like 2-3 years old, but it did remind me a lot of some of my favorite Ali Hazelwood books. But I don't want to compare too much. It's just that there's not a huge STEM romance genre that I've personally read. I'm trying to find all of the hidden gems in the STEM romances, okay, because we all love sports romances, we all love cowboy romances and all that good stuff, but I also think that STEM romances need their time to shine, and that's not just because I'm a woman in STEM, okay? It might be a little bit, but still, they deserve their own spotlight. So anyways, let's talk about this book a little bit, shall we? In The Soulmate Equation, you're following Jessica Davis, who is a single mom, is constantly go, go, go. She is a work from home statistician. She works at this coffee shop with her best friend every single day, and every single day at the exact same time, beautiful man gets the same coffee at the same time on the dot every single day. They find out this is River, who is the male main character, of course, and he owns a company that is kind of like a dating service, but it's all about your genetics, and it's pairing people up with their genetic makeup. Like, you have similar chromosomes in your genetics as the person that you're destined to be with. And so Jessica and her best friend decide to go to River's work and put their samples in, and of course love blooms from there. I don't want to give too much. It's hard for me to tell you a synopsis that doesn't tell too much, but that's pretty much all that's on the inside cover of the book. I promise, like, you could find it in the actual synopsis. But I'm gonna be rating The Soulmate Equation 4.5 stars. There really wasn't too much I could nitpick about this book, but it just wasn't like my all-time favorite romance in the STEM romance genre, so that's why it's not a 5-star for me, but it was still really good. And I promise that was the only one I read before I filmed this intro, I swear. I'm thinking the next one we should get into is Bunny by Mona Awad. And yes, it's July and I still haven't read this book. I feel like I've mentioned this book 90% of my YouTube videos that I need to read it, and I haven't. So yes, I'm 4 pages into it apparently. I started reading it 4 pages in and I gave up. So, oh, that's so funny. The dedication is for Jess, which is the main female character in this book. Oh my god, that's so cute. So this is the book that we're going to be starting next. I will catch you guys in the morning to start reading Bunny because it's my bedtime. I just needed to film this clip before I continued to read the books for this video. Here's Salem, and I will catch you guys while I'm reading Bunny. Maybe I can actually like give you thoughts while I'm in the middle of reading it and not just read the book before I pick up the camera, you know. I'm about to meet a friend to go get boba, but I wanted to update you guys just slightly on Bunny. I'm only 50 pages into it right now, but I'm not sure it's gonna be like an all-time loved book for me. I'm not really hooked into the story necessarily. Some of the weirder aspects of the book, for lack of a better word, kind of remind me of like My Year of Rest and Relaxation, which I did really enjoy, but also it was a super interesting book. But I'm only 50 pages in, so I'm gonna give it more of a chance. But I just wanted to update you guys, but I do have to go, so I can't talk for too long. But I am hoping that the book gets better as the story goes on, but I guess we'll see. Good morning, you guys. It's 6 a.m. right now. I honestly procrastinated getting up, but now I need to actually get up because I have stuff to get done today. First, we're gonna read for a little while. I'm gonna get myself some caffeine. The goal for today is to finish Bunny. I really want to start our next book, but I just have been struggling to get into Bunny. I'm only like 30% through Bunny, maybe not even 30% yet, and I just am not like hooked into it, but I'm going to try and finish it today. I don't know. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna go read now. I need to like have my brain power on for the day because I don't even know what I'm talking about. I apologize for looking a little bit of a mess at the moment, but I just got home from Pilates. It's now about like 6 p.m. Unfortunately, I have not finished Bunny yet. Before I had to get some work done, I got to about 150, and then a little bit later today, I got to over 200. I'm probably about 210 pages in right now, not doing too hot. I really wanted to finish it today, and I still could. It's only 6 p.m., but I have some other stuff I wanted to get done this afternoon. I have a video that I need to finish editing that I wanted to go up tomorrow. Though like the timeline with these vlogs is really difficult to explain, I feel like, but in current time I wanted to get a vlog up tomorrow, but we'll see if that happens. It really depends on if I decide to read or to edit. I should definitely edit, but I also need to read for this video, so I don't know. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna go shower. I will probably see you guys later tonight or in the morning. No promises. I feel like later in the day I always forget to film, so I probably will talk to you guys in the morning, but we'll see. Yes, I'm sitting on the floor right now. I just wanted to update you guys before I had to like get on with the rest of my day. Earlier this morning, I did finish Bunny. I didn't end up reading it last night. I ended up just watching Legally Blonde and then going to bed. I do have some errands to run, and I'm getting my eyelashes curled and tinted at 2 this afternoon. There's no real reason to do it unless I'm going on vacation, which I'm not, but we're gonna do it anyways just for fun. I don't necessarily like need the tint as much, but I love when my lashes are curled because because I mean I have like semi curly lashes, but a lot of the time they end up looking really straight unless I curl them, and I hate using the like eyelash curler every day, you know. So we're doing that this afternoon and then getting some more work done and finishing this video, hopefully. Not this video, but the video that is supposed to be up today, which is the Vegas vlog, hopefully. I might also be streaming tonight, so we'll see how the day plays out. I feel like I have a lot to do, but that's okay. I like a well-rounded, busy day. I finally got my editing done for tonight, but it's already like 11 and I need to be up early, so I'm going to post it in the morning because I want to rewatch it again on a fresh mind and make sure that I didn't leave anything in that needs to be taken out or anything like that. So I'm gonna go get ready for bed and I will see you guys tomorrow. I did start another book. I started SPO Kinawa. I started that earlier today. I didn't get to tell you guys that was the next book I was going to read because I started it while I went out for a nice little walk jog earlier today as an audiobook, and I got about an hour into it, which I'm not sure what that is like page wise because I didn't look, but I got about 3 miles in today. We're getting back up there, but I definitely want to do better than that, but I'm gonna go to bed now. To run some errands, so I went for a little mile walk. I'm hoping to get more time in today, but I do have some stuff I need to get done. I'm gonna go get gas and then I'm probably gonna go home and do some work, and I have to finish the video for that needs to be up on Saturday. I did finish editing and uploaded the Vegas vlog earlier this morning because I finished editing it last night pretty much, but once you've been editing like later at night and you're not like fully into it, I feel like I tend to make mistakes or I don't like some of the choices I made if I rewatch it in the morning, so I waited to post it until this morning. Unfortunately, I didn't get it up yesterday, but either way, it's okay. So then the next video, instead of getting posted on Friday, is going to be posted on Saturday to kind of just like give myself some more time to edit more videos. So I'm going to finish up that video later tonight, but it is very warm, so I'm going to go. I had to turn the AC off so that it's not super loud because my car is very noisy. But yeah, I'm going to go get gas, go home, and I will talk to you guys later. Last night I finished SPO Kinawa, which I ended up really enjoying, and I wasn't quite sure when it started if I enjoyed the setup of the story. It was telling Elizabeth's story, which is the author, but it was also telling her mom's story and what she went through in Okinawa as a child, like growing up, and how she ended up marrying an American man. And a lot of the story on Elizabeth's part is her coming to terms with being half Japanese and half white. When she was really young, she followed her father around, her white American father, and ended up almost shunning her mother and her mother's side of her family and not really connecting to her Japanese heritage. And then it starts to go when she's older, probably in her late 20s, early 30s. She starts to understand like the importance of her mom's life and what she went through growing up. She starts to kind of understand and indulge in her heritage and her mother's side of the family, and enjoying when they go to Japan and they see her mother's hometown in Okinawa. And we get more like history about Okinawa as well that I wasn't aware of. Like I never got taught back in school about like Okinawa, Japan used to be a territory of the United States apparently, which I learned from this beautiful book. There was a lot of heartfelt moments as well where I was, you know, was really pulling on my heartstrings. I was tearing up a little bit, which is not surprising again for me and memoirs. It really pulls at my heart and a lot of the stuff that her mother went through when she was younger was really tough, and like her father went through in the war he was in when he ended up meeting Elizabeth's mother when he was stationed overseas. And it's a really beautiful story. If you're into memoirs, I would definitely recommend it. I'm not going to give it a star rating. I just don't feel like, though of course I could give a star rating to the writing style, I could give a star rating to the structure of the story, but I can't give a star rating to the plot itself, to the story of two women. That just seems super wrong to me. I know there are a ton of reviews on Goodreads of a lot of memoirs, and there are low star ratings, there are high star ratings. I just wouldn't feel right, even if I did think it was a bad book, to give it a 1 star, 2 star, whatever, because you don't have to enjoy every memoir you read. But I mean, I'm just not gonna rate it. I think it was a good book though. I would recommend it to those who want to read a memoir, though it's not really a history lesson. The book is not for a history lesson. There are a lot of things to take away from it, and I think it's really cool. I mean, I think it's really cool to learn about history and other cultures through novels, and especially memoirs when it's about somebody's life. So that's enough on SPO Kinawa. It was a great book. It did take me a lot longer to get through than I thought, because again, it is a memoir, and I was listening to it on audio a lot this week because I was just super busy, just running around all week. So I didn't know if I would be able to read a 4th book for this video, but I'm gonna try and power through because this video does need to be up in, I think, 2 days. But we're gonna see if in the 2 days I can read The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. It may seem easy, but it also may seem challenging to some of you depending on your reading style, because this is a 280-page book, I believe, which is pretty short. So for a lot of people, they would say, oh, that's pretty easy. Though, of course, this was written in the 1920s, I believe. I think this was published in the 1920s, if I'm right. But I'm already a couple chapters into this. I started it this morning. To some of you, it may seem kind of daunting to read a classic book. I'm pretty sure this would be classified as a classic. I mean, it is 100 years, probably around 100 years old at this point, or nearly 100 years old at this point. But I'm gonna try and do it because I really need to work on getting my 24 and 24 down, but also because I didn't get a ton of footage of me reading The Soulmate Equation. I feel like this video just needs a little bit more, and I've been trying to make, I know a lot of people like shorter videos, but for reading vlogs, I feel like they should be a little bit longer, so I'm trying to give a little more meat to this video. So we're gonna try and read this in the next like 2 days, and hopefully I can finish it. This will be my last book for July. It is July 28th as I'm filming this clip, so we're gonna try and get through this. I don't think I've read any classics so far this year, so I feel like it is a good time to get into some. There are a ton still on my list that I want to read in my lifetime, so let's get into Ernest Hemingway. Hi guys, I haven't talked to the vlog in a minute because this book took me like 4 or 5 days to finish fully, and the last 2 days I was on the last like 2 chapters of the book, but I just didn't want to pick it up. Not because it's a bad book, just because I have been not in a book slump or anything like that. But I mentioned in my reading vlog from last week that at the end of July I read like 5.5, this being the half, books back to back to back. Like every time I finished a book, I immediately picked up another one, which is totally fine and normal. I also just started to get in a place where all I was doing, I was doing so much reading that I wanted to like get out and do things. I wanted to like start a new show. I started watching RuPaul's Drag Race, and it's been really fun to watch. And I'm also trying to finish House MD still. I'm on the last season right now. I wanted to get away from all the reading that I was doing, not because I wasn't enjoying my time reading, but I was spending so much time in the last like 2 weeks of July just reading book to book to book, back to back to back, you know? So this book took me a little bit longer than I wanted to finish, but I'm still gonna say that this is just a reading week. To get into The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway, since this is a classic novel, I feel like I could go into a whole long like deep dive review of this book, because I mean, what we were taught to do in school with especially classic books is to pick them apart and to do our own review of what we think the book means and all of that stuff. I could do an entire video talking about this book or any book I read in full extensive review. I'm not quite sure that that's what this channel should be though, so I'm gonna try and keep it short and sweet, not get too into it. There's a lot of great YouTubers out there that do extensive book reviews and deep dives into books, and maybe one day I'll start to do more videos closer to that, but for now we're just going to share my thoughts on it and a little bit about the book, because I don't think that I really talked much about what these books were about as I read them, just because this last week was pretty hectic and I was really busy, so I didn't get to talk to you guys about the book as much as I really wanted to. But either way, The Sun Also Rises, we follow Jake Barnes, who is loosely inspired by Ernest Hemingway himself. Jake Barnes is an expatriate and he suffered an extensive injury, which is not fully disclosed ever in the book. A lot of this book kind of prances around what they're actually talking about, which I feel like is relatively normal for classics. It must have been just how they used the language when, you know, this book came out in 1926. This book, you kind of just follow day-to-day life of Jake Barnes and his group of friends in France, and also their trip to Spain later in the novel. And you're kind of just following Jake around and seeing how he deals with this injury without actually really ever talking about the injury. He even says at one point that, you know, people can joke about it and he usually doesn't think about it too often. Without really ever stating it, you kind of understand that Jake's injury is to his genitals and he is no longer able to have children or participate in the act of making children. But he makes light of it and he's like, I don't think about it very often, you guys can joke about it, whatever. And that is one reason why him and Lady Ashley, aka Brett, everybody calls her Brett, and Jake is infatuated with Brett, loves her, but again, it's all very generalized. I feel like you don't actually see Jake pining necessarily, but when he sees other people going after Brett, because Brett often gets in relationships with multiple people, she's engaged to another man while getting a divorce from her previous husband who gave her the title Lady Ashley, and you kind of see, you know, Brett also having this infatuation with Jake, but it never goes anywhere, especially due to his injury from the war. A lot of this book, it's not something that I think everybody would love, because it's a very mundane book, but not in a bad way. I mean, I don't mind the mundane life, and some of my favorite like TV shows are just people living their life. There's also a large chunk of this book focusing on bullfights in Spain. They end up going to a trip, a large group of them end up going to Spain to go to Pamplona to see bullfights. There's also a large chunk of the bullfights, which I think is Jake kind of enjoying other parts of life that can give somebody masculinity, or, you know, with him hanging out with a large group of his guy friends. I mean, they're going from France to San Sebastian to Pamplona, just and going out for drinks and dinner and all the time. They're often at a bar or often getting lunch somewhere. Again, very like mundane life, but I feel like that's also kind of what Jake wants. He's having a good time with his mates, and they're going to bullfights, they're going to bars, they're doing this, that, and the other, but those events are Jake's masculinity and just Jake's like personality. You don't actually get a ton of descriptions of the characters in these books. You get it through the events that they're going through or like the actions they're taking, rather than getting a simple statement like Jake has a terrible injury. They don't really say that. They also don't just say that like Lady Ashley likes to have a lot of male friends. They don't come right out and say that, because really nothing in this book is saying that these things are something to be ashamed of, and I think that's like a really beautiful thing about this book. Though I feel like a lot of the reviews and especially like deep dives on it on YouTube, they really go into detail about the best parts of the books, but there's also darker parts of the book, like having racist overtones or using language that we just don't find appropriate to use in this day and age. So that's just things to take away from a book that is a classic novel, which for me makes it hard to give this book a rating because I think this book as a classic could be a 4-star, 4.5-star, maybe even a 5-star really if I thought about it for a long time. There are a lot of classics that can take a long time to kind of understand the meaning of them and you can't really get through them very fast. Like as an example, I read Crime and Punishment in high school for an essay. I got to choose my own book and I did that to myself. But regardless of that, I think that book was pretty good. I would like to go back and reread it because I don't honestly remember a ton that happened in it. But that book did take a lot of time kind of going over passages in the book over and over again to really grasp what they were talking about and what was happening. And that can be also said about this book. I didn't do a ton of rereading pages or paragraphs in this book. I really enjoyed the pace of this book a lot and I really didn't have a ton of trouble reading it, which is why I think this could be a higher star book. And I think I'm going to settle on a 4-star, but I'm not rating the pieces that are offensive or inappropriate in this book. If I was taking that into account while reviewing or rating this book, it would be a 0-star. I think that the overall premise of the book is pretty good and I enjoyed reading it for the most part. That was a very long spiel about The Sun Also Rises, so I apologize about that. That's probably the longest clip of this entire video. To start off my week, I read The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren, which I did rate 5 stars. I don't know if I'm gonna stick with that rating the entire rest of the year. I feel like once I do an entire like what I read this year kind of video, if I think about this a little bit harder, I think it's probably a 4-star, maybe a 4.5-star, not a 5-star. But for the sake of right now, I'm gonna stick with my 5-star rating. I read Bunny by Mona Awad. This book is difficult because it gave me a lot of similar vibes to My Year of Rest and Relaxation, and I did quite enjoy My Year of Rest and Relaxation as much as I thought I would have. I really didn't enjoy this book. I gave it a 3-star, which is I would still recommend it to somebody if they wanted a thriller slash little bit of horror kind of novel, but I don't think it's the best one in the genre that I've read, and I think that there's better out there that I haven't read yet. There was a lot of pieces of this book that really just felt like a fever dream, and I really just felt like didn't belong in the book, or we didn't get enough explanation to really understand what was happening in some scenes. Like some scenes it felt like it was kind of like when you wake up from a dream and you remember what happened in the dream, but the more you try to recall where you were, who you were talking to, what actions were happening in that part of the dream, you start to forget and it kind of feels hazy and you're like, I remember it, but I also don't remember it. That is what this book is to me, so I'm sticking with a 3-star for this one. Then we read SPO Kinawa by Elizabeth Mickey Brina, and this book was beautiful. I don't have a rating for this book, but that is because, which I explained earlier, is because it's a memoir, and this is somebody's life. If I was to give the pacing and the writing a rating, I would probably give it a 4 or 5 star for how they structured the book. You jump back and forth in between the mother and the daughter's lives, and I think that's really beautiful. But as a whole in this book, I'm not giving it a rating, but I would highly recommend this book if you are into memoirs and want to pick up something new. I would recommend this book. And then of course what I just talked about for a million years is The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway, and we're gonna stick with a 4-star on this book, which I already explained not that long ago. Overall, I feel like this is a pretty good stack for this week. I feel like my ratings were pretty much in the same area from 3 to 4-star kind of. I did enjoy this book. It's not the most memorable books I've ever read, but I still really enjoyed them. And then to go on a little bit of the analytics that I went through at the beginning of this video, and that is what percentage of the 20 and 24 books did I get through. At the beginning of this video, I was 37% done with my 24 books to read in 2024 challenge, and now I am 54% done. We have done significantly more progress in this book challenge, and that is great. I still would like to have been a little bit more done with this challenge already since it is August, but I'm going to continue working on this challenge as the year goes on. Go into the types of books that I read this week. I read 1 memoir, 1 classic, 1 romance, and 1 thriller slash horror. And I am now 13 out of 24 books done for my 24 books to read in 2024. Overall, I think we did pretty good this week. I would have liked to have more time to read a little bit more, but reading a memoir and a classic in the same week can be a little tough. A little bit of the same for me with the thriller slash horror book. That book also took me quite a bit of time to get through. The only book that didn't take me very long was The Soulmate Equation because it was just a cutesy little romance and I read it in like 2 sittings. So overall, I think that this was a very good week of reading, and I'll probably do another one of these before the year ends. I really need to get the last 11 books off of that reading list. So that is going to end us off for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, go make sure to do all the beautiful YouTube things like comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.